Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to our channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about threat detection and I'm going to talk about two different analytical rules that you can create. The very first one is near real-time query rule, and then you have incident creation rules. Now, whenever you go ahead and create an analytical rule, these are the three set of options that you will get. The very first one is scheduled query rule, the one that we have covered in our last video. Then you have near real-time query rule. Here NRT stands for near real-time. And then you have this option which says Microsoft incident creation rule. Now, by default, there are multiple templates which are already available for each data source type which exists for Microsoft. So this list that you see over here, these are all incident creation rule templates available in rule template section. So let's say if you have a requirement to generate alerts, or let's say if you have a requirement to generate incidents based on the alerts which are generated by Microsoft Defender for Identity alerts, then you can just go ahead and enable this particular rule or customize this particular rule as per your requirement. Okay. So let's say if you go ahead and click on this option which says Microsoft Incident Creation Rule, the very first set of options that you will get is the name and the description of the rule. Then you have to select the status, whether it has to be enabled or not. Then you have to go ahead and select the security service, or precisely the data source, which in our case, let's say Microsoft Defender for Identity. Now, once you select Microsoft Defender for Identity, then you also get two different type of filters which you can apply. The very first one is the severity of the alert, and the other one is alert name. That's it. The moment you provide all these details, you can click on this option which is automated response, and then you will be prompted to choose automation rules. Now, fundamentally, automation rules are used to trigger logic apps or playbooks that you have created. Now, since we have not discussed about these two concepts as of now, so I'm not going to discuss them with this particular rule type. However, as we move along with this playlist, there will be ample amount of content related to automation rules as well as playbooks. That's it. So the moment you'll click on next, review and create, you will get a summary that this is the name and these are the source type, filter by severity is any, no filter applied to alert name, or let's say in terms of inclusion or exclusion, and that's it. The moment you'll click on save, your rule will be created. So let me show you this in action, and then things will make a lot more sense. So as of now, I'm signed into portal.azure.com with my account which has all the privileges, and I'm going to click on this option which says create, and I'm going to click on this option which says Microsoft Incident Creation Rule. Now here I can just go ahead and type generate incidents based on Microsoft Defender for Identity alerts, and I'm going to type the same in the description section, and then I'll choose this as enabled. Now here I'm going to select this option which says Microsoft Defender for Identity, and if you look at the section, this is exactly what I was referring to. It says that filter by severity. So let's say if I choose any option here, then what exactly will happen, that whenever there is any alert which is generated by Microsoft Defender for Identity, there will be an incident created. However, let's say my requirement is that I only want incidents to be created when there is a high severity alert. Then I can just go ahead and choose this particular option. Now, there is one more set of filter that you can apply, and which is moreover related to alert name. So let's say there is anomalous group membership change, one of the alert type which Microsoft Defender for Identity generates. I can also apply a filter which says that only generate an alert if the alert name contains the following text. Okay, and just to let you know, this is a AND condition. So how it goes, it should be first of all Microsoft Defender for Identity alert, then it should have high severity, and then it should have this particular name. Or the same concept can also be applied to exclusion of certain alert name. Okay, And then I'll just go ahead and click on this option which says next automated response. Now, fundamentally, automation rules are the definitions to trigger a logic app or a playbook that you have created based on the workflow that you have defined. Since we have not discussed about automation rules as of now, so I'm not going to cover this in a lot more detail, but as we move along with this playlist, I'll explain you how exactly these two components work. So that's it. The moment I'll click on review and create, I'll get a summary of what exactly is going to happen, which rule is going to get created, if there is any filter which has been applied when it comes to severity or alert name, and what is the data source. So the moment I'll click on save, my incident creation rule will be created. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and click on rule template type. And as you can see, the filter is already applied. Let me just remove it and show you from scratch. So here I'm going to click on add filter, and then I'm going to click on this option which says rule type, and I'm going to select this option of Microsoft security, and I'm getting the complete list. In fact, the same list which I was showing you in the deck. Now let's say if I click on this option, which is again related to Microsoft Defender for Identity, and let me open this section here, I can go ahead and click on create rule, and here also if required, I can just go ahead and customize this with the requirement which we had, which is creation of incident only if the alert is having high severity. That's it. Next automated response, review and create. So basically I've shown you both the methods wherein you can customize the template which is already available, or you can create a rule from scratch, defining the filters related to severity as well as alert rule name. Okay. So now let's talk about the next rule type, which is near real-time query rule. This is something which is going to help you with quick threat detection. So if you remember when I was talking about scheduled query rule, there we were practically defining the time frame in which the rule has to be triggered. It can be 30 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, it can be, let's say, 1 hour, 4 hours, whatever you want. And then we are also defining the time frame for which the data has to be fetched. Okay, so in scheduled query rule, the conditions were run every 30 minutes and look up for the data in last 30 minutes. However, in near real-time query rule, these settings are predefined, which means that when you create a NRT rule, it is going to get triggered every minute and it will look up for the data in last 1 minute. These are the two conditions which help you with quick threat detection. Okay. Now you can only create 50 NRT rules per instance, as well as NRT rules are only applicable to those data sources where there is an ingestion delay less than 12 hours. So yes, these are the two different capabilities, or let's say these are the two different limitations, not capability, limitations which exist with NRT rules. And you have to be exceptionally sensitive in terms of creating NRT rules. Use them only for those scenarios where you want real-time threat detection, not for generic use cases. Now, when this feature was launched a couple of years back, or let's say with Sentinel itself, then the ability to combine multiple tables was not available. However, recently, the ability to combine data from multiple sources is also available. So I can have a rule written where I'm querying multiple data sources, and then I am actually getting to a root where I'm getting a result, which is a combination of multiple tables. And then based on that particular result that I'm getting, I can go ahead and create a NRT rule. Now I will show you a kind of very fundamental example, but my intention here is to make you understand how exactly this rule works. So first of all, I'll show you one of my machine from where I am capturing security events, which I have used in my last video as well. And then I'll show you how I'll create a near real-time rule that will show me all the data. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to query everything which has been ingested by this machine. So let's say I'm going to click on search, and this will show me all the data which has been ingested to this workspace from this particular machine. And there is very specific use case that I'm going to cover, and however that is not something which is available out of the box. Okay, and I'll show you what all I have done to make this work. Okay, so you can see as of now this machine is ingesting data to two different tables. However, in my last video, or let's say in this entire series, I've shown you how the data ingestion happens to security event table. However, you can also have a DCR kind of created which should ingest data to some other table as well. Okay, so let's say if I do here summarize count by table name, okay, it will show me to which all table this machine is ingesting data. You can see it's fundamentally capturing events and security events as well. Now there is a difference here. Security event is getting captured because of the DCR that we have created for Sentinel. However, there is one more DCR that I have created for this particular machine, and based on that particular DCR that I have created, system events are getting generated and ingested. Okay, so let's say if I now query event table, it will show me all the results. Now let me do it for last 7 days. Okay, you can see I'm getting these many results. Now assume that this machine that I have is my high value asset. Okay, and I want to know that whenever there is someone who is clearing the logs from this particular machine, I should be notified. So first of all, I should know that what is the event ID, or let's say what is the event type which gets generated whenever somebody clears events from a machine. Okay, so now if I show you the details of any one event, you'll see that Microsoft Windows app model runtime admin logs were cleared. Okay, so this is my use case for this particular video, where I have a high valued asset. It can be, let's say, multiple assets. You can apply a filter of watch list as well, but to make things simple, to make you understand how the NRT works, I'll choose this very basic condition. Okay, which is I'm querying the event ID 104, and if there is even one single instance of this, then I should be notified. So here I was actually querying the data only for this particular machine, but now I'll come back to my workspace of my Sentinel and I'm going to apply the same query, and let's look up for the data for last 7 days, and you can see I'm getting this particular result. Now, before I go ahead and create the analytical rule, let me show you what all I have done to reach this particular state. Now, as we know that by default, when we create any rule from Sentinel console for data ingestion, the data ingestion happens to this particular table, which is security event. Okay, which is not this one, I'm sorry, security event. Okay, so when we create a DCR from Sentinel console, the data ingestion will start happening to this particular table. However, the actual event which is getting generated on the machine is not something that will flow here by default, because it's a system log which is getting generated. So in this case, you need to make sure that you're collecting the data first so that you can create a particular condition for a specific rule. So what I have done is I have actually created a different data collection rule. Let me show you that, which is this one, which says system log data ingestion. And here what I have done is I have defined a XPath query to query all the system logs. Okay, so fundamentally now my machine, this machine, is actually associated with two different DCR. The very first one was for Sentinel and the other one is for typical system log data ingestion. So let's say if I go ahead and click on my Sentinel instance, and if I go to data connectors, and here if I go ahead and select my option of Windows security via AMA, I will click on open connector page, and then I will select my DCR, which we have created in this particular series, which is this one, which says Sentinel security event. And let's say if I click on edit, I'll see my machine getting listed over here, or it is already selected. Let me just go ahead and show you this. Yeah, you can see this is my machine. Okay. Now don't go by the name of resource group. Just assume that this is the machine which is receiving my DCR and the data ingestion is happening. Similarly, for this particular data source or this particular DCR that we have created, I've also scoped my machine, the same machine, so that the data ingestion can happen in event table. Now, if you have any doubts in terms of how exactly all this is happening, please go ahead and watch Azure AMA playlist as well, and then things will make a lot more sense. Okay, so now I'll come back to my workspace, and here I will apply a filter where I will say where event ID is 104. Okay, and show me the data for last 7 days. Now there is one more very fundamental concept which I would like to cover, and that is I only want an incident when the computer name is this. Okay, because this is my high value asset. It's that simple. Okay, so now I'm ready with my very simple query, and I'm going to copy this, and now I'll go back to my Sentinel instance. I'll click on my instance, and then I'll click on analytics, and here I'm going to select this option of near real time query rule. Now the very first section is obvious that it will ask me for the name, that what is the name that you want to be associated with the incident itself when it gets created. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and type let's say logs cleared from critical servers, and the server type is Windows. Okay, so I'll copy this again and I'll give it here as well. Now there is also something which is very important, and that is the ways to populate the attack technique. Okay, so let's say I want to know that which technique will be applicable for this particular scenario. All I have to do is just go ahead and check for MITRE attack technique for clearing logs. Okay, it will show me indicator removal. Okay, think about like this, and it is also showing me other sub techniques which are related to this particular attack type. So it also shows me fundamentally clearing Windows event logs. Okay, so here I can see it is indicator removal. So I'll just go ahead here and type indicator removal, and I can actually choose which one I want. Okay, so if I come back here, it will show me the technique ID as well. If I'll scroll down, okay, here it shows 1070 in defense evasion. However, I don't see that here, so then I'll choose, okay, here it is, tactic 1070. Okay, then I can just select this, and that's it. So as of now, it is showing me two techniques. Okay, this is the actual technique and this is the sub technique, and that's it. I'll choose this option of enabled, and then I'll click on this next, and here I'm going to type my query that I have written. Okay, now in last couple of days, I don't think there is any instance of this log available, but let's see what this portal has to show us. Yeah, so it does not show any information in last, let's say, 24 hours. No issues. Now this part of entity mapping, if you guys remember, I have explained it in a lot more detail. However, I will go through it again so that it can be relatable for everyone. So what all I need, okay? So the very first thing that I need is, let's say, the computer name itself where the logs were cleared. And then let's say I want to know rendered description, which is this. I want to know event ID, and I also want to know, let's say, event level name, for example. Okay, and let's see, yeah, this is the set of information that we are getting. And let me see if I can get some more information. Perfect. Okay, so assume this is the information that you want to be available in the entity section as well, because if you guys remember when I was explaining this in scheduled query rule, I was very obvious. I mean, it was very obvious that anything that you are projecting in this outcome will be the only set of information that you can map in entity section. Okay, so here I'm going to choose, let's say, as host, and in host, the host name should be, let's say, computer. And then event ID, let's see if we can have something like that available here. No, nothing like it. And let's see if we have any description. Nothing. So for now, let's just remove this. And in custom detail, I want to know log type, which is cleared. Okay, so let's say I am typing log type, and here it should render the description, which is what was cleared, the actual location. Okay, and then I can go ahead and type alert detail as well. Let's keep it similar to what we have defined. Let's say logs are cleared, okay, from, let's say, Windows machine, and then this is my high value asset. That's it. I can just copy paste this information here. Okay, now I want to group all the events into a single alerts, and then that's it. I'm just going to click on next, which is incident setting. Now if you remember, when we were talking about scheduled query rule, we were also getting the options to choose the time frame for which this rule type has to be triggered. However, that's not the case here, right? Now if you want, you can go ahead and choose alert grouping as well. Again, this is something which I have clearly explained in a lot more detail in our previous video, so I'm not going to revisit it. No more further details for this automation rules, because this is something which we will be covering once we'll talk about logic apps. And that's it. I'll click on review and create. So perfect. You can see all the validations are passed. So as of now, this NRT rule will create an incident whenever from this particular machine any logs are cleared for any folders. And that's it. I'll go ahead and click on save. Now once this is saved, I'll wait for at least 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and clear a couple of folders from my machine itself, which is this machine, and we'll see how quickly the incidents are getting generated. Okay, perfect. So now my rule is created, and I'll go here and again open it. Okay, it's not showing here. Just give me a minute. How come this is possible? Yeah, sorry. It's here. So it shows me logs cleared for critical servers, and the platform is Windows. And if you remember all the techniques and everything. So now the next step is to go back to my machine, which is this one. And this is the same machine. If I'll come back to my portal, I can show you this real quick. Azure Arc, and this is my machine. Okay, and as I said before, all the logs and everything are getting captured. So what I'll do is I'll also open log here, and let's just run or query the event table for this particular machine, or let's just apply filter itself, okay, where event ID is 104, okay, and I'm going to click on run. Now I'll come back to my machine. So as of now it's 4:53 and then around 45 seconds, and now I'm going to clear a couple of folders, and let's see when exactly we get the incident created on the machine. Okay, let's just choose some of the folder. Okay, perfect. So here I'm getting 4 events. So around 4:54 to be very precise, I cleared this one folder, and then let's see if I can choose any other folder as well where I'm getting some logs. Disk diagnostics, nothing coming here. Let's say if I go to HTTP log, nothing is here. And okay, so I'm also clearing the kernel PNP logs, and this is again during the same time frame. I'm going to clear all these logs. Now what this will typically do is if I go here in system, I will see these 2 logs getting created. One is around 4:54:38 and the other one is 4:54:07. Okay, now I'll come back to my portal, okay, and I'll click on run. Perfect. You can already see that I have 1 log created here, and let's see which one is this. Okay, this is for the very first one, which is program compatibility assistant, and then let's just run it again. Hopefully we should see both the logs. Perfect. So now if I come back to my machine, you can see in less than a minute the data is already ingested, okay, to my workspace. Let's say if I go back here, yes, I can see these 2 events coming here. Now let's go to Sentinel and let's click on incidents, and let's see if we get any data available over here. So as of now it's not here. I'll pause the video and we'll resume and we'll show you the time difference in terms of how much time it took for a specific incident to get created. Perfect. So it took around 3 minutes for the incident to be created. And if I come back to my portal, you can see created time is 4:57. However, if I go ahead and check for the log ingestion, it's around 4:55. I mean, let's 2 minutes, practically 2 minutes it took for the incident to be created. Now if I go ahead and click on this option of view full details, you can see it is showing me the entity type on which the log was cleared, and if I'll scroll down, you can see the log type which was cleared. Now if you closely look at this, it shows me both the log types, right? The very first one is the assistant one, and then it is showing me the kernel PNP one as well. Now there is one more very important aspect that I would like to show you folks, and that is related to the security incident as well. So every entry that we see in the incident console is basically something which is generated, or let's say it's created in security incident table of the workspace. Okay, so I'll go to my workspace, and here I'm going to click on logs, and I'm going to say show me security incident list, and if I'll click on run, you can see this is the one. Okay, so it will actually show you the exact time when the incident was created. So now you can relate that it takes around 2 minutes roughly, or 3 minutes maximum, for a NRT to create an incident for you. Okay. Now this entire information which is associated with the incident is available in this particular table. However, there is also something which you should look, and that is security alert table, which will show you the alert which resulted in incident creation. Okay, so yeah, that's it in terms of knowing how NRT rules and how incident creation rule works. So fundamentally, these are the three types of rules which you can create. The very first one was scheduled query rule, and then in this video we have seen how the NRT and incident creation analytical rule works in a nutshell. In the next video, I'm going to talk about alert and incident investigation in Sentinel. So if you think that this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.